Well, it's another gray spring day here in North Idaho, but at least it's warm. And I just got done carrying in firewood and feeding the animals, and I had to come out here and talk to the camera. I mean, talk to you about what happened. I did it! I did it! I did it! I did nude modeling, and it was quite an experience. I'd say it was really amazing. It was interesting. There were 8 students in the class, and they were working with charcoal, and they were working with the edge of the charcoal, not the point, not the end. They were laying it down, and they were doing it without looking at what they were drawing. So they would look at me, and they would ask their mind to translate what they saw through their hand and put it on the paper without looking on the paper. I thought that was so interesting. I was in the middle of the room, and there were people all the way around me. So it wasn't like I could even hide against a wall or anything. They were everywhere. And of course that meant they all had a slightly different perspective. Some were looking at my back, some were looking at my front or the sides, and I would switch from pose to pose which direction I was facing, so everybody got the opportunity to see me from different directions. Some of the poses were standing, some of them were what the teacher called dynamic, which was something intense but one that I couldn't hold very long, and then other ones were more relaxed that I could hold for 10 or 15 minutes. I did several standing up and sitting on a stool, and my last one was actually lying on my back with one knee up. I was really nervous right in the beginning. There was sweat dripping off my brow, but it didn't take me too long to let go of the thoughts that were causing that. It's just like, well, here I am. I chose to do this, and it's okay. And I was also aware that in general, I feel pretty good being in my body. I've done a lot with Feldenkrais, awareness through movement. I've become more aware of my body and how the muscles engage. And in general, being in my body, I feel pretty good. I'm fairly happy about how it moves. And the thing that I've always had a really hard time with is looking at my own body in the mirror. So I was aware as I stood in front of these people that it was much easier for me to be looking elsewhere and thinking about other things, even though I knew that they were looking at my body. Me not looking at my body was very helpful. And they would draw for a while, and then there would be a pause, and I would slip my robe on, and everybody would walk around and look at each other's pictures. So I walked around and looked at them too. And it was great. I was surprised at how, even though I have a hard time looking at my body, I didn't have a hard time looking at the pictures that they drew. And of course, they're working with charcoal, and they're working on the side, and it was real general. But it's also obvious that my body is big and fat and heavy, and that was in the pictures. And it was great because I didn't have a hard time seeing the pictures. And the other thing I did was talk to them. There was one of the times when we had a break, and I had been sitting on the stool, and then the next pose I was standing up. And as we were all walking around looking at the pictures, I thought of this thing that I wanted to say to everybody. So after the instructor got done talking, and I was standing there naked while everybody's working on the drawings, I said, "Can I talk?" And the answer was sure. So I shared with them about my trip to Colorado to the Authentic Speaking Academy 3-day live event. And the thing that I got from that experience that was so helpful to me and so exciting is the being spontaneous in my presentation and practicing exploring what my options are. So rather than getting up in front of people and trying to do it perfectly, those 3 days were about exploring what the possibilities are and trying them out and seeing how they feel. knowing and choosing to trust that when I get up and speak in a professional capacity, that those things are an option for me, which means I can go high with my voice, I could go really loud with my voice, and I can go soft with my voice, and I can move a lot, or I can stand still. I can do whatever's appropriate for the presentation I'm giving, but I have the option of that large range of possibilities. And I was seeing a translation of that in connection with speaking to what these artists were doing on their paper. That it was, I wanted to invite them to explore more, and rather than doing it cautiously, to just do it and get into it. So it was really fun to have that opportunity to share, and they thanked me for that. And during, I think it was near the end, one of the men, there was 6 women and 2 men, the older man said, "I really appreciated that story. Thanks for sharing it." And that just touched me so much. And I felt good about what had happened. I felt really good that I was able to set aside my inhibitions and just be me. And I knew that it was a big moment, that those 2 hours I spent there with them was important. It was big for me to make the decision to do that. And I will go again.